How did you get in this game, man?
I got in the game. I met Jam Master Jay a while, like 3 years ago.
Yeah?
Yeah, and I was signed to JMJ Records for like a year. He kind of like, he taught me how to write in song format. Like,
okay.
So he helped me a lot. Like,
I mean, did Jam Master Jay really work with 50 to kind of help him structure his raps and everything?
Jam Master Jay taught 50 song
structure.
It was Jam Master Jay going, yo, you gotta check this dude out. He's gonna be good. It wasn't even like he's gonna rule the world. It was like, yo, Clark, I think he's gonna be good.
Did you know 50 Cent probably wouldn't be the legend we know today if not for one life-changing encounter? It was his meeting with the iconic Jason William Mizell, aka Jam Master Jay.
I know how to count bars when I met Jay. You know, so I would write a verse and it'd be 12 bars, sometimes 14, sometimes 18. And he kind of trained me to write the chorus. And he was like, he'd make me write the chorus to the record.
Now, 50 was not just some kid from the streets. He was Boo Boo, a street boss from a young age. While he started from the streets of South Jamaica, Queens, by the time he was 16, 50 was already a full-blown gangster boss, deep in the drug game and making serious cash.
50 had the Benz, he had the Land Cruiser at like 17 and 18. He had the big boy Benz, he had the white panties in that. Like 50 was just a wild cat, like, you know, 2 guns in that motherfucker. He could still go to high school 17 and pick up in the Benz, you know what I mean? So he's been getting money. He was like a hero in my hood.
And of course, you can bet that being the gym freak he was from a young age, looking so muscular at that age would surely intimidate anyone his age, and even older. But it wasn't just the muscles though. 50 was smart. He knew every alley, every corner, and every hustle in his neighborhood. He rolled with a crew that looked up to him.
Hood was pumping for 50.
Oh, for
the
real?
whole motherfucking hood. I don't go son cracking 9495, he was pumping for 50.
Wow.
Yeah, he had the whole block pumping.
What set Curtis apart was his mindset. He wasn't just surviving, he was thriving, always thinking a few steps ahead. The streets were like a chessboard to him, and he knew how to make the right moves to stay ahead of the game. That drive and ambition were impossible to ignore, and it's exactly what caught the attention of Jam Master Jay. In fact, if 50 wasn't living that life, Jay might never have even noticed him. But Jay saw the superstar potential in 50 beyond all the gangster stuff and made it his mission to help him shine. All the skills 50 is known for today, his writing, choruses, and sharp delivery, might never have come to life without Jay's guidance.
I know how to count bars when I met Jay. You know, so I would write a verse and it'd be 12 bars, sometimes 14, sometimes 18. And he kind of trained me to write the chorus. And he was like, he'd make me write the chorus to the record.
Jay going, yo, you gotta check this dude out. He's gonna be good. It wasn't even like he's gonna rule the world. It was like, come on, look what happened to 50. Jam Master Jay saw that.
But sadly, before Jam Master Jay could witness his most famous protege's rise to multi-platinum success, his own life was tragically cut short. Let's dive into the story a little deeper. 50 Cent's journey into rap started in Queens, and it really took off after he met Jam Master Jay, one of the founding members of Run-D.M.C. At the time, 50 was hustling on the streets, trying to make moves and catch the attention of someone who could help him break into the music game. He talked about that pivotal moment during an interview with BE, saying, "I was hustling my way into a situation when I met Jay for the first time. The meeting happened outside a popular New York club called Bentley's. 50 showed up in a flashy Mercedes-Benz, wearing a New Jersey Nets jersey, and Jay actually mistook him for basketball player Kenny Anderson. I was doing good, but on the street side," 50 admitted, "and you know that don't last long. I was already looking for something else to do. And when Jay started talking about the stuff he was working on with his label, I really wanted in."
In 1996, 50 Cent meets Jam Master Jay, and I guess Jay just assumed he was a rapper based on how he looked and how he dressed.
50 had the Benz, he had the Land Cruiser at like 17 and 18. He had the big boy Benz, he had the white.
Before that, 50 was just messing around with raps. He used to record in the basement of DJ Rough Ends, a local from South Jamaica, Queens. It was casual, more for fun than anything serious. But everything shifted when he met Jam Master Jay. Jay saw potential in 50 and started teaching him the ropes of becoming a real artist, not just someone who could spit bars for the neighborhood. neighborhood, Jay didn't waste time. He gave 50 a tape and told him to write a song. At first, 50 drew inspiration from Mobb Deep, a group known for their gritty lyrics and raw energy. "I wrote a song that felt like a Mobb Deep record," 50 explained. They had this style where the chorus was almost like a rap itself. It wasn't catchy or melodic, just repetitive with doubled vocals that made it stand out. But Jay wasn't looking for just any rapper. He wanted 50 to understand the importance of making songs that connected with people on a deeper level. Jay believed in the power of a strong chorus, something that could hook listeners and keep them coming back. He taught 50 the art of crafting a memorable refrain. Jay would turn up the metronome in the studio and say, "You see that? That's the end. Whatever you say needs to repeat there," 50 recalled. At first, this was challenging for 50, who wasn't used to writing with such structure. Jay pushed him hard, making him write 2 or 3 choruses for every song before he could even start on the verses.
I know how to count bars when I met Jay. You know, so I would write a verse and it'd be 12 bars, sometimes 14, sometimes 18. And he kind of trained me to write the chorus. And he was like, he'd make me write the chorus to the record.
Jay's philosophy was clear. Anyone could rap, but it took real skill to create a song that stood out. 50 credits these lessons for shaping his approach to songwriting. One perfect example is his hit song, Pimp. The melodic hook and structure of that track reflect the skills he learned from Jay. "He gave me a habit of writing choruses more than once before I started the idea," 50 said. Jay's influence turned 50 from a hustler with a dream into a polished artist with the tools to dominate the music industry.
Jam Master Jay really worked with 50 to kind of help him structure his raps and everything?
Jam Master Jay taught 50
structure.
The lessons 50 Cent learned from Jam Master Jay weren't just valuable, they were transformative. They became the foundation of his career, setting him up for the incredible success that was just around the corner. At the time, Jam Master Jay was juggling a lot, including Run-D.M.C's busy touring schedule, so he couldn't dedicate all his time to 50. But the time they did spend together was priceless. Jay gave 50 the tools to refine his craft and the confidence to chase bigger opportunities. Eventually, 50 moved on to work with Trackmasters, another major stepping stone in his career. During his time with them, he began to record more seriously, building a catalog that showcased his potential. But breaking into the industry wasn't easy. 50 still had to prove to the world and himself that he was the one.
Aggressive enough at the time for myself. You know, I was speed and I was new.
Right.
I felt like I had to make some changes, so I met the Trackmasters. And
fast forward a few years, and 50 Cent finally found his home with Eminem and Dr. Dre at Aftermath Records, a West Coast powerhouse. But even with all the buzz surrounding his partnership with Dre and M, it's important to remember that it was Jam Master Jay who saw the superstar in 50 first. Jay was the one who took a chance on him, long before the big record deals and the chart-topping hits. Before he landed with Aftermath, 50 had already been through a lot. He had a stint with Columbia Records, but his career took a major hit after a 2000 shooting that nearly ended his life. Despite being dropped by Columbia, 50 didn't give up. He poured his energy into indie projects and mixtapes, building a buzz on the streets that couldn't be ignored. By 2002, he was on the brink of a breakthrough. Sadly, that same year, the man who had first believed in 50 wouldn't live to see his rise to stardom. On October 30th, 2002, Jam Master Jay's life was tragically cut short in a senseless act of violence. That day began like any other for Jay. He was at his recording studio on Merrick Boulevard, a familiar place where he spent countless hours surrounded by creativity and music. The studio was buzzing with energy, filled with laughter and music. Jay moved into the lounge to play some Madden football with friends. But what started as an ordinary day turned into a nightmare. 2 men, reportedly familiar faces, were buzzed into the studio. No one could have anticipated the danger they brought with them. Moments later, the peace of the studio was shattered by gunfire. Chaos erupted as people scrambled to escape. The shooters disappeared into the commotion, leaving behind devastation and heartbreak. The news of Jam Master Jay's death sent shockwaves through the music world and beyond. The man who had helped elevate hip-hop to global acclaim was gone.
We begin with a fatal shooting of a rap music legend. The shooting tonight in a recording studio in Queens, taking the life of the man known as Jam Master Jay. His real name?
In the early 80s, Jam Master Jay joined forces with 2 of his close friends from Queens, Joseph Run Simmons and Run-D.M.C. McDaniels, to form what would become one of the most iconic groups in hip-hop history, Run-D.M.C. Together, they didn't just make music, they changed the game. They were the first hip-hop group to break into the mainstream, blending rap with rock in a way that no one had done before. Their 1986 collaboration with Aerosmith on Walk This Way became a cultural phenomenon, bridging the gap between genres and solidifying hip-hop's place in popular music. Run-D.M.C's influence extended far beyond music. They were cultural trailblazers, making appearances on Saturday Night Live and even gracing the cover of Rolling Stone magazine, a first for a rap group. Their impact was so significant that in 2009, they were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, cementing their legacy as pioneers of the genre. But the magic of Run-D.M.C came to an abrupt halt after Jam Master Jay's tragic Emder in 2002. The group, devastated by the loss of their friend and DJ, officially retired, marking the end of an era in hip-hop history.
He was one of the founders of the pioneering rap group Run-D.M.C. Many believe that group gave birth to modern hip.
There's a lot of DJs came before him, and there's a lot of us that came after him, but he was that one that exposed the art form to the world.
Jam Master Jay's funeral was held on November 5, 2002, at the Greater Allen AME Cathedral in New York. It was a powerful and emotional celebration of his life, attended by family, friends, and many figures from the hip-hop community. But despite the overwhelming public support, the investigation into Jay's Emder stalled. From the start, the case was plagued with issues. Many of the security cameras in the studio, which should have captured the KRs, were mysteriously disabled. Witnesses were reluctant to come forward, and law enforcement seemed to focus their attention on other cases. As the years passed, the trail went cold, and the case became one of hip-hop's most painful unsolved mysteries. For nearly 2 decades, Jam Master Jay's family, friends, and fans held on to hope that justice would eventually be served. Public interest in the case ebbed and flowed, but it was never forgotten. Over time, new details began to surface, shedding light on the circumstances surrounding Jay's death. Rumors circulated that Jay might have been involved in illegal activities, which seemed to contradict Run-D.M.C's public stance against drugs. These revelations were difficult for many to reconcile with Jay's image as a positive and influential figure in the hip-hop community. As more information emerged, law enforcement renewed their efforts to solve the case. In August 2020, after nearly 18 years, there was finally a breakthrough. 2 men, Ronald Washington and Carl Jordan Jr., were arrested and charged in connection with Jam Master Jay's Emder. The arrests brought a mix of relief and heartbreak to those who had been waiting for answers.
2 men found guilty of murder in the of Run-D.M.C's Jam Master Jay. Jurors found Carl Jordan Jr., Jay's godson, and Ronald Washington, Jay's childhood friend.
What made the news even more shocking was the personal connection both men had to Jay. Ronald Washington wasn't just a casual acquaintance, he was a childhood friend who had once lived in Jay's family home and had even been sleeping on his couch at the time of the Emder. Carl Jordan Jr. was even closer to Jay. He was not only Jay's godson, but also lived directly across the street from him. To make matters worse, Carl's father had been Run-D.M.C's former tour manager, further deepening the betrayal. The community was stunned. How could 2 people who were so close to Jam Master Jay, people he had trusted, be responsible for such a heinous act? While the arrests provided some answers, they also raised more questions about what really happened that day and why. In January 2024, the long-awaited trial for the 2 men accused of emdering Jam Master Jay finally began. Prosecutors laid out a chilling story of betrayal, greed, and revenge, claiming the crime was rooted in a fallout over a narcotics deal gone wrong. According to their argument, Jay, who had faced financial struggles in his later years, had reluctantly turned to the drug trade for cash. The prosecution alleged that in July 2002, Jay struck a deal with a childhood friend, a seasoned TFicker from Baltimore, to distribute drugs. They claimed Jay had secured about 10 kilograms of coke, worth around $200,000, intending to distribute it through his associates, including Ronald Washington and Carl Jordan Jr. But the deal took a sour turn when Jay's Baltimore connection reportedly refused to work with Washington, forcing Jay to cut him out of the arrangement altogether. That decision, the prosecutors argued, sparked resentment and set the stage for tragedy. According to their theory, Washington and Jordan felt betrayed and conspired to take Jay out in what they described as a cold-blooded ambush. It was an execution driven by greed and revenge, one prosecutor told the jury during the opening statements. The trial was shrouded in an air of tension and secrecy. The jury members were kept anonymous for their safety. Neither their names nor their identities were revealed to the defendants or their lawyers. Prosecutors claimed this was necessary, alleging that the defendants or those acting on their behalf had already tried to intimidate witnesses in the case. During the trial, prosecutors painted a vivid picture of what happened on the night of October 30th, 2002. At around 7:30 p.m., they said, an unidentified co-conspirator unlocked a fire escape door, allowing Washington and Jordan to sneak into Jay's recording studio unnoticed. The two men climbed the stairs to the lounge area where Jam Master Jay was sitting on the couch, relaxed and unsuspecting. When Jordan entered, Jay initially seemed happy to see him, prosecutors claimed, but the mood shifted quickly and violently. Jordan allegedly pulled out a gun and fired 2 shots at close range. One bullet struck Jay in the head, KO'ing him instantly. The second shot hit another man in the leg, Tony Rincon, a prosecution witness who would later testify about the horrifying events.
And according to prosecutors, this is what was so sad about it. They say Jordan walked up to Jam Master Jay. He greeted him and said hello and shot him in the head.
Oh. He knows. I mean, he's known for
It's his godson. He's not, he was a child.
Panic erupted in the studio. Jay's business manager tried to escape but was confronted by Washington, who reportedly pointed a gun at her face and ordered her to lie on the floor. Several other people were present in the studio at the time, but in the immediate aftermath of the shooting, none of them identified the attackers. Right after the shooting, prosecutors described it as a brazen crime. They emphasized that Jam Master Jay, a world-famous DJ and musician, was gunned down in front of people he knew, a bold and almost reckless act. But the defense wasn't buying it. When they got their turn to speak, they spun an entirely different narrative, one that pointed the finger at another man, Jay Bryant. This theory was clearly aimed at poking holes in the prosecution's case. The defense pointed out that a hat found next to Jay's body contained DNA belonging only to Jay Bryant. They also noted that Bryant was the only person caught on security cameras near the scene of the crime. It was a strategic move to cast doubt on the prosecution's claims, but it wasn't enough to sway the jury. On February 27, 2024, the jury returned with their unanimous verdict. Both Ronald Washington and Carl Jordan Jr. were found guilty of M-dering Jam Master Jay. The two men were later sentenced to a minimum of 20 years to life in prison. The verdict finally brought some closure to a case that had haunted Jay's family, friends, and fans for over 2 decades. Following the verdict, Jam Master Jay's family released a heartfelt statement. They thanked everyone who had stood by them throughout the difficult journey and urged the public to continue honoring Jay's legacy through his music and the positive impact he made on the world. It was a reminder that while justice had been served, the loss of Jay was still deeply felt. As for Jay Bryant, his legal troubles weren't over. In addition to being accused of the M-der, he was charged with narcotics, trafficking, and firearm offenses related to the case. Prosecutors alleged that Bryant played a key role in the crime, claiming he let Washington and Jordan into the studio through a fire escape, setting the stage for the M-der. Bryant, however, has pleaded not guilty and is scheduled to face trial separately in January 2026. The case, even after the guilty verdicts, remained deeply personal for people like 50 Cent, who owed much of his early career to Jam Master Jay. Shortly after the verdict, 50 took to Instagram to express his thoughts. Posting a screenshot of the news, he wrote, "Welp, that's all folks. RIP Jam Master Jay," accompanied by a shrug emoji. It was a moment of bittersweet reflection for 50, who had been so closely tied to Jay's legacy. The connection between Jam Master Jay and 50 Cent ran deeper than music. Just a day before his M-der, Jay had been celebrating 50's new record deal with Dr. Dre and Eminem. According to Jay's cousin Stefan Watford, Jay had been overjoyed. His main concern was the blessing of 50 Cent, Watford told the jury during the trial. He was so happy about 50 Cent getting signed to Dr. Dre. "We laughed, we cried. It meant so much to him." Watford recounted how he and Jay had been at the 24/7 studio in Hollis, reminiscing about a recent trip Jay and 50 had taken to Milwaukee to celebrate the rapper's big signing with Shady Records. It was a joyous time, full of hope for the future. But tragically, Jay wouldn't live to see 50 Cent's meteoric rise to superstardom with hits like Inda Club and Candy Shop. Both produced by Dr. Dre, Jam Master Jay left behind a grieving family, including his wife Terry Corley Mazzell and their 3 children, Jesse, TJ, and Jason Mazzell Jr. His impact on hip-hop and the lives he touched will never be forgotten. Rest in peace, Jam Master Jay.